Hi everyone, this is going to be a quick update on the ASCII art tourist demo that I'm working on. This is just kind of a quick look at the progress that I've been making on it, and probably a little bit more explanation than I gave in the original post. So there's no mesh or vertices or triangles or anything like that. Rasterize straight into ASCII art. There's no post-process effect happening here. I'm working with this really low resolution render target, and you can kind of see in blue here where I'm throwing letters onto the screen, and then this yellow area is really just the full dimensions of my render target. So it's a really low res render target. That's the first thing to understand. And then the second thing to understand is that there's shading happening in two different ways. The first way is with the ASCII kind of pixel values themselves, values that have a lot of pixels turned on, like the pound sign there is used to show bright pixels, and then slashes and dashes and commas and things like that are used to show darker pixels. That's really standard for how ASCII art works. But I'm also shading these pixels too, if you haven't already noticed that. They're actually getting darker as well as being kind of less pixel density. Just to contrast, this is what the torus looks like with no shading. This is just kind of classic ASCII art at this point. And this is with the shading enabled. So it's kind of a little bit of a subtle effect, but I like it a whole lot. I'm actually having to render and do my own depth testing, and so this is just a really quick view of the depth buffer. And remember, I'm rasterizing these little sprites. Remember, this is like not a watertight mesh or anything like that. What you're seeing over here is kind of like in a weird way, kind of like a wireframe in the sense that you can see through it and that kind of stuff. So when you look at the depth buffer, there's going to be holes in it. That's because there's legitimately holes in the actual asset. In the process of projecting these little ASCII characters to the screen, I do run into the fact of depending on resolution and my tessellation density and things like that, I sometimes am targeting the exact same pixel location or texel location on the screen repeatedly. And so I've added a pass to kind of score that. And I've worked on this already. So this heat map is showing kind of a low amount of red. I'm going to try to pause it in a good place here, there. So the red is places that we're having overshade, where these texels get hit multiple times, and there's obvious kind of like expense associated with that. And then of course the numbers are meaningful too. 1 means the pixel's been hit 1 time. 2 means that it's been hit 2 times. And all up, you can see smattering of some 6s and 9s in there. So that's kind of what I've been working on, adding these kind of debug layers, because this is essentially really getting into just software rendering. That's just what this is, what's happening here. I get no GPU support for any of this, except for the actual, rasterization of the little characters, font sprites themselves. Absolutely everything else is done in software, but it is holding 60 hertz. I'm getting all this done in 16 milliseconds, which is cool. So really quickly before I go, I'll just walk through the different layers again. This is the overshade. This is the render target visualization. Yellow being all the pixels that I have to work with, blue being the ones that I'm actually rasterizing to. And then the depth buffer that I have to both test against and write to, exactly like you would do in standard triangle rendering. Works the exact same way. So that's it. I appreciate all the cool feedback and responses that I got on posting this. It's been a lot of fun to work on. I only, of course, have a little bit of time on the weekend here or there to push it forward. So I'll keep nudging it, and then eventually, when the code is nice and clean, um, I'll release it out into the wild. Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. Bye, guys.